Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. Chris Daly, Nevada State Education Association, representing 40,000 educators across the state, working to ensure high-quality public education for every Nevada student. Sitting in the education committees of the Senate and the Assembly, we've already seen some great ideas out there. Expanding school libraries, computer science classes and curriculum, expansion of Zoom schools, of Victory schools, implementation of the weighted funding formula. The list goes on. Unfortunately, however, just building on the last speaker's comments, when we hear about how the education budget is built, it sounds good. An additional $40 million on the Zoom, an additional $25 million here and there. But unfortunately, when you total it all up and you take a look at, population funding, I think that, those last couple of slides that were presented, the one on the per pupil funding, actual statewide average, if you take a look from year to year, from 2017 to 2018, you're looking at less than $150 increase per pupil. It's about a 1.5% increase in terms of education funding. That does not keep up with the cost of doing business. So I think for this committee, the charge is going to be how do we do even better and how do we build on this? Just going back to the IP1 room tax monies from 2009 really quickly, we were encouraged by the initial governor's recommendation to include most of that money into categorical or what we could consider supplemental funds. And as I understand it, those monies have been now backed out and put back into the DSA, or at least that's the proposal, and then general fund money that was freed up by those monies supplanting the required general fund money in the DSA moved into the categoricals, that we support, like, Victory schools, Zoom schools, programs for English language learners. But when the Nevada State Education Association placed those advisory measures on the Clark and Washoe ballots in 2008, and when the people of those counties and the majority of Nevadans voting passed them, and then it came to the legislature in 2009, the state supplemental school support account was created and funded. And so those $376 million that are going into the state supplemental school support account should be supplemental to the state's ongoing obligation to fund public education. Ideally, they go from this account directly to the districts by formula to improve student achievement and for educator salaries. However, I understand, given the needs here, that there are great needs, and we've heard about them in committees. And I would just strongly encourage the members here to consider a good faith effort to make the IP1 monies supplemental and additive so that we can do all of these great things that we're talking about out in the education committees. I've heard some speakers come before committees and talk about knowing where they can find an additional $60 million somewhere in the state budget. We can help point you in that direction as well. But I think that if you take a look at this additional $154 million in the biennium for public education, that $77 million per year in an increment is not enough. It doesn't keep up with the increases in the student population, the costs of doing business, and with our agenda in the state of Nevada, transforming the economy and needing to do better by our kids. I'm hoping that it happens in this committee. Thank you.